Hello everyone, it's Monday! I've already had my coffee, Data, thank you very much, but I do appreciate the Danish. What are we doing today? Well, first, let's turn off the noises coming from any other devices that I have, like a good showman that apparently I didn't do beforehand. Apologies. Probably shouldn't leave it sitting on the table next to the mic because it's probably also going to vibrate, so I'll fix that in a little while. But, like I started to say, let's give everybody a good morning. And Data was first. Cult of the Lich was second. I think I'm supposed to have you on a Friday show. You and I need to talk. If it was you, message me. If not, anybody else that wants to, message me. Adam K, good morning. Darrow Odell, welcome to the chat. How is everyone? It's Monday. It's another week gone by, or another weekend past. I don't know what it is. I've been cutting tree limbs already this morning for about an hour. Trying to stay active. Morning, Lacey Ann. Trying to get things done. And then all of a sudden at like 10 minutes to 8, I stop and go, oh, it's time to get the kids breakfast. Wasn't I supposed to do something today? Oh shit, it's Monday! I love being here on Mondays, but sometimes I wonder how many people love coming to be here. And then I see your faces or your emblems or your conversations show up in the chat, and it just makes me realize I'm not the only numbskull that wants to come here and talk about things that seem benign but could be the root of an issue, could be anything. Who knows what I'm going to talk about on what days, what topics are going to be picked, what conversations are going to be had. We do know one thing, that Numbskull, unless priorly planned usually, always shows up for the Monday morning show. And that's because it started on a Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And while we're at it, let me figure out if I remember how to make this board work. Is it broken?
Welcome to the Great Debate.
Yeah, it's broken. Yes, I remembered you, Lacey. I always remember the shows. Sometimes, admittedly, guys, when the weather outside is frightful, the shows are more delightful. I spend a lot more time sitting here working on graphics and presentations and intros and outros and clips and all of this stuff to get ready for the show. But in the summertime, it's a little bit of a rush sometimes. And I think the thing I spend the most time on has to be putting the questions together. And the questions and the statements, the way to try to abstractly look at situations, to discuss them outside of the major conversation that may be had about them, it's really hard. It's racking on the brain. What can you pick apart about a topic? See, there it goes. Thank you, Data. I appreciate it. Thank you. See, I pay attention to you, Data. I appreciate you. Alright, moving on. In this, well, let's do this. Let's try to be a good showman. First, I will remind anybody and everybody watching this show that in order to be a guest, just get hold of me on Twitter or in Discord, and I will do my best to try and schedule you in for a show and set it up and put your avatar and everything on the screen. Because I like to do that. I like to go that little extra mile and put time into appreciating the guest being here. Secondly, if you like the stream and you want to see me try to push for more shows a week, because I feel the demand for this stream is kind of low, If you want me to do more shows or want me to get more guests on, please share and thumbs up this stream so other people will see it and other people might want to come on. And then, no more and then, I'm going to ask, since there are no guests on the show today, that my audience, the wonderful chat you guys are, please select the first topic from the board. Otherwise, I might sit here and stare at curtains and go, look, is that wrinkled or is that supposed to be like that? Yeah, and I don't want to stare at my curtains. So, what are we going to discuss first today, guys? I have to count them every time. Why do I have to do that? There's 18 topics. I got a little Irish punk in here. What are you being, some sort of punk? Huh? Welcome to the chat, punk. Nice to see you. How you doing? Stripper heels, says Data Wasteland. And we all know Data Wasteland stripper heels are the platforms that we often discuss things on. What would be the final straw to break the back of YouTube and make people start leaving? And I thought, well, we've covered the outskirts of this question. What would it be that would make people leave? What would it take to cause not only the creators but the consumers and others who use this platform for business and personal reasons to leave? YouTube now has changed their streaming service so you can get live streaming videos and shows and programming, and you can get stuff that they select for you on channels and whatnot. You can get rid of commercials. All that fun shit that other programs or other platforms, I should say, do. But what's going to be the straw that breaks the back? We all know YouTube teeters on their success, I guess you could say. And it's kind of, at this point, their name that keeps it going, and the size and the ability of the platform. And it's been discussed that a big opposition to YouTube would be almost impossible because of the server capabilities that YouTube and Google have. Another company would almost literally have to come in by building multi-billion-dollar server buildings just to begin to do what YouTube and Google can do right now. So what would it take to compete? What would, not what would it take to compete, that's the wrong way to say that. If you look at what they're doing and everything going, and the fact that a competitor would be very hard to come by. It has to keep growing from the beginning, and they're being thrown obstacles. They're not just hitting them. People have to actively decide to leave YouTube for it to fail. And that has to be the outcome. Something has to happen like with MySpace, where the platform stopped delivering to the customer what the customer needed, and it stopped being a viable opportunity. And people stopped using it. It's not necessarily altogether leaving and taking your profile and everything off. It's leaving your profile and leaving it inactive. When there's a surplus of inactive profiles, you're then paying money for not being able to advertise and sell to somebody, and that becomes a loss. What am I missing in the chat? Finding out YouTube was lying the whole time about adverts. I have a funny opinion on that, but hold on. Skullbot, ignore. YouTube has so many issues with adverts, child abuse, so-called hate speech, censorship, Nazis, LOL. I don't think anything about them, I don't think anything will take them down at this point, since they've survived all that so far. This is my thought. At one point, there's going to be old profiles people stop using. There's going to be all the banned and the exported profiles people stop using, and things are going to be across so many platforms at some point that people are going to actively distribute viewership. As the viewership of YouTube starts to crank down, the rules are going to continue to change, and the death of YouTube is going to be trying to bring people back but keep restrictions. And as much as I hate certain things, I understand and see the violations even when people don't agree with them, and I may not even agree with them. But YouTube has to be more descriptive and break the violations down into more categories and then have explanations for those violations. You were removed for your excerpt in this section that was taken from this. Okay. Copyright claim. Fair. You were removed for bullying or harassment. Alright, well, tell me the time. Let me see the clip. Who did I bully and harass? What did I say that you guys caught that bullied and harassed? That way I can either take it out or eliminate it. Other places may give you this feature to edit your material, whereas YouTube won't, and then YouTube will lose more. I think it's going to a new platform. These DIYs and debaters, etc. are already backing up videos on other servers or sites. They keep banning unnecessary videos. People will just be done. And that's what I'm talking about. We are hitting a point where people could, not quite yet, but soon, just be like, you know what? It's easier to put it on YouTube, and a lot of people see it, but it's not doing anything for me on YouTube that I can't get somewhere else. Or, okay, so what if I have to stop streaming and I just record a show and do the show to a video somewhere else? Will people want to watch it? And honestly, in my opinion, I stop and think, would people want to go watch Jeopardy, which is a pre-recorded show? Well, you still sort of watch it to see what the conversation was. But this show, my show, was sort of built around the ability to work with either a guest or the chat. And I can't work with the chat on a recorded video. So that limits the number of sites I'm able to do this on. I've gotten copyright strikes, but I've never gotten anything about this show or that would harm my streaming. And I've been kind of careful about that. Bobcat McSwifty, welcome. Hey, Lacey. Haha, why am I a hoe? Because you said hey. The bots in here are crazy. Just know that they will fully contribute to your conversation, is wherever they can. Yes, and you can gamble. So, what will that thing that makes people leave be? It's going to be either a straight lockdown of censorship, a straight pulling of paid sponsorship to the creators, or it's going to be limited access to things because you're not paying for a subscription. Those are going to be one of the three things that I honestly think breaks Yahoo. But that's just my opinion. Next, what we have to do is pick another one of these fine 17 remaining topics on the board. I think I have to watch another chat besides the YouTube chat, because the YouTube chat sucks. Why is it like 5 seconds behind for me? Let me give it, I'll take this chat. Alright, that's better. Let's see if, oh, Adam K says tech. Let's give it a second. Give it a second. It still has not shown up in the YouTube chat. Still not in the YouTube chat. Still not in the YouTube. Oh, there it goes in the YouTube chat. Look at how slow that was, guys. Like, my shit's fast. Like, I try to keep up with it. What is wrong with YouTube? Oh, I'm supposed to click technology, aren't I? Here. There we go. Technology. Have we reached a point where we can have conversations with AI? Why can't I read? I sound like Kirk. Have we reached a point where we can have a conversation with AI? I think so. I think we're right at the precipice of the point, but I think the problem is the conversation isn't necessarily coherent. Artificial intelligence has a different way of thinking, and if you allow it to take what it's learned, the intelligence that it has, and create music, what it creates to us is hysterical or horrible or laughable. It's not quite music. If you allow it to do the same with a movie or comedy or a play script, it's hysterical to see what AI writes out and how comedic it is, and the missing words and the non-conjugation of characters and verbs and things. It's funny to me what comes out from what they've learned. And you would think, don't get me wrong, this is my own personal thought process. And again, I could be a numbskull, or that could be completely opposite. You would think that being able to have a grasp of the way that we use verbiage and the way that we structure sentences and the way that we do things, that technology would be able to keep up with that or understand that at the point where it's excerpting these things and sending us information back that it thinks would be appropriate for us. And then I start to think some of this technology isn't necessarily based on American language programming. This technology could be built in China, and the language programming could be obviously is structured differently there. So to conjugate certain things isn't necessary in their language, whereas for us, we do that inherently in certain things. And in the Spanish, and trying to think of what it is, in the Spanish culture, it's done even more so. These computer programs don't necessarily know yet, or maybe they should know, how to decipher between the different language dialects and conjugations and the inherent differences in the use and the verbiage that we use in civilizations, even across the U.S. Words are spoken differently, sentences are structured differently, there's phonics and all that other shit to come into play that I may or may not necessarily agree with, but the computer should be able to emulate for the person speaking to it, or at least create coherent, structured sentences, make sense of something, build to something, not just red rabbit through hole, Jack went. What? And basically to the computer that means Jack went through the hole dressed in red looking like a rabbit or something. I don't honestly know. And how do you have a conversation if what it returns doesn't necessarily make sense? We can compare this again with, oh, and I see it in the chat. Give me a second though. We can compare this with Siri, Cortana, and Google. You can have somewhat of a structured conversation with it if you know the right way or words to use to ask or say things. And that means that we're not quite at the point where we can have conversations, coherent conversations, but we're at kind of the precipice. Sorry, that's a full can. I'm slurping. We're at like the precipice of the conversation where it can almost be had. It's almost legible, but there's the variations and the missing things from structure that tech isn't quite picking up on yet. That's holding us back from that full conversation, I think. Let's see. Irish, you think we're at the point of a conversation, Irish punk? Why bother talking to AI, though? That's a good question. I might have to take that. How do I know I'm not conversing with an AI right now? How do you? How do you not know? How do you know I'm not in Australia? There's AI in Japan that's way ahead of ours, and it's very coherent. And again, that's what I mean, punk. The original, for fuck's sake, that thing was scary. Yeah, I know. In Japan, they structure their words differently, and they structure their sentences differently, and it doesn't make sense to us in right translation, so when they translate it, we have to add the way we speak. That's why when they learn English, it's really hard for them to fulfill sentences or get the right word, because they're looking for the right way to say the word. We conjugate based on tense. Why can't I think of what it's called? The Spanish culture conjugates based on sexuality, I guess. Not sexuality, sex. A usually for a female, O usually for a male, O for a group to inherit, yeah, whatever. Grammar. That's what it is. Thank you, Data. See? I am a numbskull. We are, I believe, on the 4th rewrite of Siri because she is dangerous. I have to wonder, wouldn't AI inherently be more dangerous the more it learns about us? Also, wouldn't AI be a great place to look to create a new, Data, you'll like this, a new language for us all to use to speak to one another and hold one base world language? Wouldn't you say, Data? A computer would be what created that, not a person. Maybe. Why so serious? Am I being serious? I'm only somewhat serious most of the time. Maybe. Maybe, says Adam. I don't know. It's a weird point. So maybe we're right about there where we can hold an ideal coherent conversation, but then it goes back to what would the conversation become? And if we were holding that conversation with tech, think of it this way. If they were smart enough to be holding that conversation with us, they would be smart enough to understand how we work and to look past the way people do things and see us for the lies and the truth and hold no bars on it. And wouldn't that inherently seem almost hostile to us? And they would create a hostility because people don't always listen and cooperate, so they would learn and train themselves to inherently be more aggressive to people on a regular basis because of those who don't cooperate. And thus you get the revolution of the AI killing us all. Moving on! We need something else before I get just like black holed into that topic for a while. Yeah, stop being serious. I'll do my best. Yeah, AI in Black Ops is probably way ahead of what we have in public. Absolutely. Daryl punching the Nightbot. What are we going to talk about next, guys? Because there's all sorts of things we can talk about. Not all of them are going to be on this board. Would it be super scary if AI moved into a quantum computer? Absolutely. A quantum computer would be closer to the speed and ability of processing that the human brain has. Even though the computer moves faster than a human brain, it can't process information necessarily quite at the same level as the human brain. It can calculate faster, it can presume faster, but at the quantum level it can then make decisions almost equal with the speed and agility of a human brain. Not even necessarily deciding yes or no, but deciding that it needs more information, or a quantum computer exists, but putting AI into a quantum computer also, the ability of our brains to hold information is because of the way that we store information. We store information on a light percentage basis. So when you hold a conversation with somebody, not every word you say or everything that happens necessarily gets stored. Key points or points that your brain would be easy to pick up on get stored out of the conversation. And that allows you to restructure in your head what happened in that conversation because of the key points picked up. Now, the reason those key points pick up is in your brain as you learn and grow, different areas of your brain receive stimulation by your activities, and that stimulation causes those areas, that part of the muscle, to expand and grow because of the almost electronic modifications being made as you're sending signals through that part of the brain. And as that muscle grows, your brain starts to identify those key factors faster than others. Now, when you interact in life, your brain locks onto those key factors and stores based on those key factors. And the reason we're able to access information and think about things we do is because we're able to store large amounts of information by exerting the unimportant information and filling it back in with our basic knowledge of what we've been exposed to. And our brain adapts to that on a regular basis. And I just latched onto a stupid tangent. What am I doing? Quantum satellites and the Q-wave computers exist. D-wave. Suck my nuggets. I like to lick off the blue cheese sauce, and then I just eat them whole. They say a quantum computer accessed the multidimensional universe. Interesting. Okay. Yes, they have. Nightbot. No. Yes, it's called the D-Wave. Okay, we will have to look into that. Send me some information. Maybe we'll make it a show. Guys, do I have to go back on electronic signals through the brain? Or can we pick a topic to talk about? Government. If picking categories is still a thing. Absolutely. There you go. How much can we citizens trust government agencies when new cover-ups and mistakes come out? Ooh. Data, hold back. Only give me like 30% of whatever you're thinking. How's that? I don't know how much you can really trust the government, or whether or not it's really a necessity of trusting the government or even understanding what they're doing. On an individual basis, for me, looking at the government, it's almost like certain things overreach where they should have the ability to say yes or no in the type of environment the United States is. But again, that's my perspective on the United States and how it's developed and changed away from what I thought it was supposed to be. If the government consistently moves in the direction away from what I think capitalism and democracy are and moves into socialism, then can I trust the government? No, I can't. I absolutely can't. If you move the government from a capitalist, I don't care if a socialist gets into power. I care when the country moves in a socialist direction. Social Security is a socialist program. Government health care is a socialist program. And I'm not necessarily happy with these programs, but I do understand the existence and why they're there. I just think they've been misused and not properly monitored, which is why we can't trust government agencies to do this, which is then why I don't like socialism. I understand socialism, and I understand there is an ideal for socialism. And I hope not to go on a socialism tangent here. And I can almost believe in a socialist concept. However, application of socialist concept leads to failure. And those who proposed a socialist state, the United States go socialist, are basically, who is it, Einstein? They're repeating what's been done around the world in many countries in many ways, all basically the same, all basically with the same result. So basically, it's insanity to try it here, right? In the freest nation in the world, let's take away your freedoms by putting the government in control. But saying that we're putting you all equally in control of everything, well then why do we have to pay the government anything? Okay, so I can't trust the government only because I feel there's a high probability it's moving in a socialist direction more than I'm comfortable with, more than I can understand being applicable to the nation. And so my trust as a citizen for a government agency with these mistakes and the cover-ups and the direction they're heading is pretty low. Is that to say that I don't trust cops or that I don't trust the FBI? It's saying that inherently there's question in the back of my head, and I have to wonder if there's an agenda. But we wonder that about everybody all the time. Is there an agenda behind what I do? Absolutely. I want to make a buck or two and have a little fun. I said those in the wrong order, though. But what the hell? let's go up here. Category. Data. How? It would be to create a gateway or a wormhole or frequency to be able to pass on the info. Oh, previous topic. Okay. Shouldn't trust them based on all past lies, false flags, amok. Get private money out of government. Absolutely. Sounds fair. Private money, gold. Here's the thing. I'm not necessarily for a big government, but I'm also not necessarily for a small government. In order for my rights to be protected separately from your rights, individual from your rights, but also cooperatively with your rights, I need to have a structure or a layout that we can both follow that offers both of us both protections and freedoms, so long as they don't violate the other. Soundbite salad numb. Yeah. Something. I hope you guys don't hear this. They're outside cutting up the trees that I've been cutting the last few days. It's gonna get loud. I bet they brought a mulcher from the town. Government money is private money they funded by citizens and corporations. In my mind, government money is the money they take from their citizens. And as a citizen, as a home buyer, I stop and I think to myself, am I really okay with the fact that I'm buying a house and I'm paying taxes on it? But even once I'm done paying for the house, I'm still paying taxes. I'm not incrementally paying taxes from the purchase of the house. I'm just repeatedly over and over paying taxes to different government organizations for me having bought the house. So that does kind of bother me a little bit. How much is that going to come out to over years? I'm going to spend more on taxes on the house than I spent on the purchase of the house. And is it fair for me to have not only bought the house from somebody, but also to buy the house from the government on a regular basis? I'm renting my ability to own my home. And that bothers me a little bit. I can't trust somebody that you read one law and it contradicts with another. That you look at the foundation of our country, taxation without representation, and I understand I have representation. I understand all that. Don't get me wrong. I can go have say. But even after I vote no on the taxes, and they're overwhelmingly no, a year or two goes by, and they increase the tax anyway. It's just not as high right away. They do a smaller increment because that was their backup plan. And I can't trust government-run organizations. Forgot this was on. Hey, Ryder. Thank you. Say it. Say it. Data says say it. Come on, say it. Ryan, Ryder. See? Even the bot's telling you. Even the bot knows what you're here for. Did you? Oh, you did. It's up there. Oh, I missed it. I'm blind. I tried not to read up the chat and then I missed things. Alright. See? I can hear it through my headset. You hear that? That's what I've been doing the last couple of days. I've been cutting trees and limbs down and making it pretty outside. He's a Time Lord. Hey! How do you like that? You got a doctor's appointment. It all works out in the end. So, folks, we've done 3. And there are more. So what's next? I don't know why it did it twice. Why did it do it twice? Skullbot, what's wrong with you? I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I cut down trees and I throw bales of hay. Doc. It's not Doc that does it. It's ointment that does it. OINTMENT. Ointment. It puts the ointment on its skin or it gets the whip again. No! Are we all engaged in listening to this mulcher out there? There are a lot of trees in my front yard right now. and there's no trees growing in my, well, yeah, there is, but I went down the side of my garage and cut all the limbs hanging over my garage, and I've been pulling vines and dead limbs out of the trees for the empty lot next door, trying to clear the fence line on the other side of my fence. Internet, thank you. Data, you're wonderful. Look at that. I don't have to talk about my trees anymore. Speaking, the internet, resourcing media from other places should not only be allowed, but remain or become more commonplace today. Ooh, I'm sure everybody has an opinion. We all do a little bit here and there, and this is difficult to do, especially on the internet, but then is that why it's not commonly done, and it should be more commonplace? And even I have a hard time with this. And then, let's put it this way. The internet has become so vast. So many people have taken clips or segments or sections of things and commented or reposted or done something with them, that if you go searching for something, you might come up with 30 different clips for what you're looking for, 50 different commentaries on something about that clip possibly. And to resource properly is difficult, because you could, and this happens with copyright claims, you could find a tune or a song somewhere and like it, clip it, adjust it, and set it up for your show, and believe it wasn't copyrighted because it wasn't there and you couldn't find it. And then as soon as you throw it on YouTube, you find out somebody else also grabbed that song and threw it in a video and copyrighted their video, so now that song is copyrighted, even though it's supposed to be free use. And it comes back to bite you. So the original source doesn't matter, because somebody copyrighted something they did with that in there that matters. You shouldn't be able to profit from somebody else's work. The whole thing is one big creepypasta. Link pasting is the internet. I'm reading up. Daryl has no opinion. This is my question. Because of places like YouTube, shouldn't we have some sort of internet copyright library that if you're going to use material, the material's listed in there as to what the ability to use it in? And if it's on there as a free use item, because some people just want their music heard. They want something they created to be heard or used, and they feel better about that. So I'm not going to copyright my show. And if I do, I'm going to have to create or buy something for the intro, because I borrowed something free use to play it. And other people also use this, and they don't copyright their shows because it's out there as for use. But then some jackass a year or two from now could find it and go, I like that, I'm going to use it for this, and they're going to copyright their show, and then the rest of us retroactively get copyright blocked. And I think resourcing is important, but the problem is properly resourcing things isn't right. Trying to find where things came from. I remember having a conversation with somebody about a clip I was using of a tune, how they got it from this place, and then they messaged that place, and then they got it back from music from somebody else's that pulled it from somebody else's. So this little sound clip was inserted into mixes back and forth all the way around the internet, and tracing it down to its original source was seemingly impossible. It's difficult because there's no library, there's no place to structure like, hey, I published this work, let me put it here. Because the internet is so vast, even if there was, there'd be 8 of them, and you could put it in one place, but it wouldn't show up in the other, in 6 of them, because, well, one would copy from another when they found discrepancies, and the others wouldn't, because it wasn't in their budget or something. It's really hard. And again, I make the effort to try and link to the music and things that I use. Have a good one, Ryan. But it's hard. And do I still link when I know that person took it from someone else? It's difficult. I don't know how to put this on this. It should become more commonplace. People should be using and resourcing media that is out there to be used and resourced. But there should be a way to do that consistently, to help do that consistently. either a service or a company or a nonprofit. It really doesn't. Maybe even just a server that people donate to help keep it running, just to keep information going. So I think it's important to source the media you used and cite those resources properly. At the same time, it's hard to say right now you need to do that when it's not commonplace and people are consistently stealing others' work, which is why there are copyright laws. So it's hard to talk about this one. What do you guys have any opinions, or is this so minuscule on your radar it doesn't matter? Because I honestly think it's more of a... Some people feel it's almost to the detriment. And on the other side, there are creators on there who won't source certain material because they don't want the creators of the material they're sourcing to get bullied or harassed. Which is with good intention, but also kind of violating how you make a report or a citation on something. How you do a response or an opinion on something, you cite what you're opinionated on. Okay, enjoy your appointment. Have a good one, Ryan. Get some new glasses. Come back and visit. Is the timer really that small? I might have to fix that. I can make it bigger. But it does need to become more commonplace, and it needs to be easier to do. Like when you cite a book, it's relatively easy to cite a book. You put a certain information in, but on the internet, it's very difficult. No, once it's out there, pasting it gives it more eyeballs, and the internet of it in the first place was to get the most eyeballs as possible. Right. I agree. But resourcing is important. You want the original to get credit, which is why I'm thinking copying material is bad. Speaking about material and resourcing what you're speaking about is important. Here on The Great Debate, I don't really source any material, so I don't know how to do that. And I don't know what to source for the show. I do have in the description, I have all my links. I also have a link to where the game board came from, because I didn't create the game board. I just took it and programmed it. Pardon. And I also have links for where I know the music came from, so that I can say I linked it. Controversy is next, please. Awesome. So next we're going to talk about some controversy. Has real socialism been tried in the world, or are they not real because they failed? Ooh, this one gets me. Settings make the res higher to make it clear. I don't think it's necessarily just clear. I just made the timer really small. I can make it bigger. This is a bothersome one. Wow, why am I talking about socialism? When you try to discuss socialism with somebody who's prospecting for going socialist, the conversation seems to lead to, well, what can we compare it to? Obviously. And the comparison goes to recent countries who were socialist that have finally tipped the edge to fail because they instituted full socialism and it just dropped. And it's a good example of socialism and why and how socialism doesn't work. Is the more you push socialism, the end goal of socialism is a communist society. Explanation of socialism is supposedly everybody in the group being grouped has a say in what happens, but also has equal participation in the group. And again, the problem comes down to what we're starting to see is that people who want the socialist government healthcare for free. They don't want anybody making money. They don't want any incentive to drive people to do things, but they also want everybody to receive everything they need or could use or might want. The problem becomes the closer you get to capitalism, the harder it is to fulfill the. It starts with the wants. You don't get the wants because the needs outweigh the wants. And we're trying to fulfill your needs, so let's make sure we fulfill your needs. And then when everything you have of wants and desires breaks down and you're down to your needs, then we're going to slowly whittle away at being able to give you what you need, because there aren't people out there willing to do anything without an incentive. When you work individually, you're not looking at your group incentive. Well, I'm going to go out there and plow this garden so everybody else can eat. No. I'm going to plow this garden so I can eat and maybe make money to provide the other things I need or want. Without that incentive to do things, well, if I get hurt or injured sitting here on my couch, I can go to the doctor. But the doctor's lines are huge because everybody's at the doctor because they just stubbed their toenail and showed up. And then it's harder to get to a doctor, and then doctors are more scarce because they don't want to deal with it, because they're basically making out the same, even taking all of their time to learn and do what they're doing. They're making out the same as the person who's sitting on the couch doing nothing, because you get all equal benefit. And that's why it doesn't work, is there needs to be a hierarchy of people saying, well, no, you get this if you do this, and we need you to do this. There needs to be a reward for the things that you do, an incentive for doing something. And I'm trying to describe how to best say this. And I understand socialism, and socialist aspects can work. The problem is, the more socialism you add to the equation, the less it works. And we are kind of seeing this here in America. The things that you see in Canada and in Britain with the government health care is that the doctor's offices are filling up because you can now go for anything. Beforehand, people were realistic. I cut my arm. Let me put some antibiotic on it and tape it. Now it's, I cut my arm. I wonder if that needs stitches or just some sort of staple or a patch. I'll just go see a doctor and have them look at it. I don't go to a doctor all the time. I could care less about my physicals. If I severely get injured to the point where I haven't learned yet in my life how to take care of that injury, then I go to a doctor. And it's people like me that when I finally go to a doctor are in the same queue as somebody who put a nail through their foot. Haha, dumbass, I did that a few times. You'll learn. I didn't go to the hospital. Well, yeah, I did go to the hospital for it for the first time to make sure my tetanus shots were up to date. But when I know my tetanus shots are good, I just carry on. It's amazing to think that providing something for everybody isn't going to take advantage of it more frequently. And it's harder to pay for that. And by creating that cost difference where not everybody applies for getting the same opportunity because of the cost of it, well, for this cost you get this, for this cost you get this. And I believe a socialist style net to help people is appropriate, yes. The socialist system we have built in, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare for those who are under income or don't have jobs, it's appropriate. However, it is misused. It is drastically misused, and it is drained for reasons we shouldn't be covering, and it is funded by money we shouldn't be paying out. And that's because it's become something that everybody can get. Everybody is eligible for whatever they want to get out of it. Now, this is the beginning of socialism. Once everybody is getting it, it's sorry, we only have the time to deal with these things. The rest of them have to fall back off again. Not because you can't afford them, but because we don't have time for you. Oh, wow, is my rant about socialism have to be over already? Okay. I'm not in favor of a socialist government. I'm in favor of a socio-capitalistic government where, understandably, we help take care of those less fortunate. But again, in order to do that, we need to realize that there is a capitalistic aspect, and in order to do things, people have to be served by the money that they get as a reward. As well as the fact that when you provide a social net, those who are covered, those who will be protected from falling by the social net, should be those that helped weave the net, not those that managed to fall to the right just a little and land in it. And that's an analogy I understand, but hopefully some people get what I'm saying without me trying to come off as an asshole. And I have a lot of opinions about a lot of things. I'm not saying I don't. NumbedSkull put the timer back to 300, not 400. I might be able to do that. Let's try one more. Has anybody got one more? And we'll rush Limbaugh through it, or just rush through it, or run through it. We'll pole vault through it. Some new words. I don't think pole vault's quite adequate. What are we talking about next, though, guys? We've still got, let's see, we've done 5, so there's 13 to go. Ooh. This Friday's the 13th, just to let everybody know. And then Data, picking again, says television is a very important thing to talk about it. Should something be outside a show? Should something said outside a show affect the show? Should something being said on the show affect the show? Okay. Tongue twisters I'm giving myself today. That or I just really can't talk. 5 minutes is 6:40. Okay. No, 5 minutes is 300 seconds. 5 minutes is better than 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Okay, I get that. Okay, so this will end at 10:40 o'clock. Are you... Wow, you're right on top of that time for me. No and yes in that order. Agreed, Daryl. Can anybody say the chubby actress I'm talking about here? Because I wrote this a while ago, obviously. This goes back to even other incidents that have happened in the press that I don't believe the outcome of the incident quite reflected what the incident was. If you have like a telemarketing job or a warehouse job or something, cool. If you have a standard level job and what you feel and your opinions and the things you do in your personal life don't affect the job, great. That's one thing. Separately, people do have public relation jobs or cashier jobs where they constantly run their mouth about things, and that's separate. I will put that out there before I have the rest of this conversation. Now, Roseanne Barr was an actress. What she said on the show was a script or, improv, but not allowed to cross a certain line on the show. And that's what people who tuned into the show watched. Anybody who tuned in to her Twitter profile or her private life tuned in to see what she thought. Either they followed her personally for that or just because or whatever. Those two worlds are separate. If your whole point, if your job is to discuss or just randomly talk with people, inherently you're going to start giving bad opinions to people and they're going to look down on the company that you work for it. But if your job isn't giving your opinion and your perspective on things for a company, then why should your job be affected by something? And I don't think something Roseanne said on her Twitter personally should have affected whether the show was or wasn't on the air. because nothing she said was inciting violence towards anybody. It wasn't, here's a number, go kill this person. Here's a number, go harass this person. It was making a jab at something she didn't like. And we all do that. So why is it so bad? At the same time, Samantha Bee made a jab at something she didn't like live on her show, inciting or saying that a kid should be kidnapped or put with a pedo. Again, her own personal opinion made it on the air less appropriate. More okay. So, the weird two-sided view at that, I'm not quite going to call it a double standard. Let's just say two-sided view. It was two different conversations about two different things in two different areas and had two different outcomes, and I think both of the outcomes were inappropriate. I remember WWE had a fake Trump versus fake Rosie O'Donnell. Awesome. Other things have also happened, and let's relate this television outside because it happens more. Let's bring it to the recent one. A guy in a burger restaurant stole a hat from some kids and apparently lost his job as a bartender. Now, at first, I was kinda, why would he lose his job over that? Unless he lost his job because he missed work. If he lost his job because he missed work, cool. Except you're a bartender. Don't you just basically sit there and talk to people and give your opinion all day? So now that brings me into the indifferent field. Another recent incident. The guy at the pool who wouldn't let the lady in because she didn't look like she lived there. She was a new resident, but she had the cards and everything to get in. Yeah, he was quite the asshole about it. He lost his position at the homeowners committee or whatever it was for the situation because it happened on the property. He was an official. Cool. Should have lost his job. Overstepped his bounds. Set you back. Whatever. Apparently he lost his real life job too, which makes me question what was his real life job and why would his real life job butt in and say, we terminated this person because of this, this, and that. Now that just puts you in the field. And I try to look at it like, okay, you can condemn the person that said it, but condemnation doesn't mean life ruining. And then to some people, this guy becomes, any one of these people becomes a martyr, and to other people, they become shunned. And the polarization of the way people are looking at things right now is creating a hazard. Let's see. What do we got? So, how far back do I gotta go? Wait, Roseanne has a brain. Roseanne Barr started as a stand-up comedian. She was a comedian. I remember the WWE had fake trunk. I read that one. 48. What? Oh, wow. Am I over time? Holy crap. Good job, Ryder. End of game, a little bit over time. Television. Yes, it is about television. It started about television. But you guys understand, I don't think something said off a television should have affected a television choice. And I think something said on television should have affected the choice of the television show. That's my outcome on that. And my divergent tangent, like usual. Guys, I go over time once in a while. It doesn't hurt. I hope everybody enjoys the shows that I try to bring you. I'm going to keep them on Mondays, but I'm not sure what other days right now. We'll figure it out. TMI these days. A lot of people argue to separate the artist from their art, but I can't and won't. I don't care if Polanski is a cool movie. Made a cool movie. And sometimes it comes up to individual circumstances and outcomes and perspective. That's how everything is. That's how I try to break it down and see it. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today as I get ready to blast out of here. Please remember to hit the buttons that you enjoy hitting, licking, kicking, slapping, batting. And I will be back with more shows and more entertainment for all of you. I just want to thank you ever so much for coming today. And I'm out. Thank you, everybody, and have yourselves a wonderful week.